Hi, and welcome back to Mingus on Tech. I'm Ken Mingus, Executive Editor at Computer World. I'm here with Managing Editor for Features, Val Potter. We're talking about best places to work in IT. Stick around. Okay, so Val, thanks for joining me. I wanted to hear all about our big special report. This is the, I think, 25th year we've taken a look at the best places to work in IT to come up with our top 100 list. And I wanted to find out a little bit about, of course, how we pull it together, and then what some of the results are showing us in terms of what these companies are doing to attract employees and then keep them from walking out the door.
Yep, and that is the key issue here, because it's getting harder and harder to find tech talent out there, and so retaining your employees is really key. If you've got good people, you want to keep them, and then you want to attract new talent as well. So this is a big deal. So yes, we do this report every year. And this year's list is the 25th annual report. It includes companies of all sizes in a variety of industries, plus nonprofits, universities, hospitals, research facilities, and more. In order to be considered for the list, participating organizations fill out an extensive survey. I think it's more than 50 questions. We ask about salaries, benefits, training programs, career development opportunities, and other factors that make them stand out places to work for IT pros.
Yeah, and it's also important to note that we basically ask the employees themselves. It's not just companies, who might want to game the system a little bit by talking about all the things they do. We hear from the employees directly too.
Yes, that's correct, and that is about half of the scoring in terms of coming up with the final list is based on the responses from the employees themselves at these organizations. We've found that over the years, we've between talking to the companies and talking to the employees, we have found that there really is no single path to becoming a great place for IT pros to work. There's a lot of different ways to make yourself stand out, and good salaries and financial rewards. This is always welcome, but it's not just about that. Some organizations offer amazing benefits. Some actively support their workers' career growth with everything from skills training and mentoring programs to challenging projects that help them learn new technologies, just keeping them really engaged in what they're doing. Some have well-established reward and recognition programs. Some give them access to top management, so they really feel like they're part of the decision-making process and really just engaged in the direction the company as a whole and the IT department is going in. And many of them foster a healthy work-life balance for employees. Some emphasize teamwork and a positive company culture. And most combine several of these approaches. There's a lot of crossover among these areas too.
Yeah, it's interesting because as I look through the report and look at some of the profiles we've done of some of the specific companies, clearly what comes up is these are companies that look at their employees holistically. It's not just about the, coming to work. And of course, as you mentioned, salary and healthcare benefits, that just gets somebody in the door, maybe gets them to the company. But it's all the stuff around that in terms of recognizing employees and what they're doing, giving them time off to go do humanitarian work or work in the community, finding ways to make sure that they are getting the training and the new skills that they need, so that the employee feels like almost like the company is more of a community than a employer kind of situation. And so in terms of like some of the things that you mentioned, like work-life balance, that's going to be things like telecommuting and flex time and things like that, right?
Yeah, nearly every company on the list offers those kinds of programs and benefits. Most of them offer really generous PTO, paid time off, and maternity and paternity leave, far above and beyond what the federal government requires or the state government requires. And interestingly, several organizations on the list, we're seeing this sort of gradually creep up over the years. They have moved to a model where they actually offer unlimited paid time off each year. Employees can take as much time as they want, as long as they coordinate with their manager and their coworkers to be sure their work is covered and everything's happening on when it's supposed to, and all that.
So the point there, basically, with the unlimited time off, is that the company's not. This is not like a punch in, hit the card, punch out kind of situation. The company trusts the employee to make sure that the work is getting done, or that someone is on duty to do it while he or she may be out. And it again, in reading this, I'm looking at it sort of the 30,000-foot view. There seems to be a high level of trust between companies that are successful in terms of hitting our best places list and the employees that are working for them. There's trust that the employee is going to take care of what needs to be done, and the employee can trust that the company is looking out for him or her. Does that sound?
Absolutely. Yep, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
And that sort of comes around to the next point, which is that employees really value working for employers that emphasize teamwork and a shared sense of mission. And you're not going to have trust unless the employees really feel like they're part of the process and part of the mission of the company. And one good example of that is Cloud for Good, which is the #1 small organization on the list. And it's a company that works with nonprofits to help them use Salesforce. The Salesforce platform to transform their operations. And the employees say that working together to help these organizations do good in the world gives them a strong sense of community. Even though this company is 100% virtual, all their communications are done via video conferencing. And just remotely, but they still, some of the employees say, I feel more connected to my coworkers at this company doing this work than I have, when I worked in a less, positive organization. And when I saw coworkers in the hall every day. So it's really interesting how companies can make that work. And another example of that is Dignity Health, which is a healthcare provider. And that, of course, gives tech pros plenty of opportunities to work on creative and challenging projects. There's so much going on with data analytics and digitized patient experiences, health records, all that kind of stuff. It's just a huge area of growth for IT. And these people can see firsthand how their projects are helping patients. And they just know they're doing meaningful work, and they want to come to work every day and help people. But you don't necessarily have to be, the mission of the company doesn't necessarily have to be caring for people in order to get that sense of teamwork and community. Workday is it's a cloud software company that emphasizes building connections between employees, not just in IT, but throughout the company. They have a company event called Vista, where they bring together employees from different parts of the firm. They put them in teams with people they've never worked with before, and they set them to work solving cross-functional programs. And it just builds these connections that would otherwise never exist in the company.
Yeah, and exactly. It's that feeling that you're doing more than just the work that you're paid to do, that you're going beyond what the company would expect of you to what your coworkers would expect of you. It's that working together feeling that these companies show, or that they really work hard to make sure that the employees feel that they're part of something bigger. And it seems to be working in terms of keeping people, again, attracting new talent and keeping experienced talent from jumping ship and going somewhere else.
Yep, absolutely.
Along those same lines, I was looking at some of the details on the training and career development programs that these companies offer. And for instance, some of them offer like 10 training days for IT employees each year, just to, for new skills learning.
Yes, absolutely. And a lot of them offer reimbursement for technology certifications, college tuition, or executive education programs. 70% of them offer formal mentoring programs within the organization where the leaders are helping the new people along. And one really good example of that is Paraveda Solutions. And they say everybody has a path to VP at this organization. So it offers skills training tech skills training, but it also offers long-term programs that are centered on developing leadership skills and business acumen. And it's designed to help IT employees go beyond the technical side and grow into executive roles by giving them these business skills and experience. And it's not a quick hit, quick fix type of a program. I mean, this goes on for years, but they do say employees who want to go this path, they'll help them do it.
And that actually leads into the next point that for companies to be successful along these lines, there's got to be a lot of transparency, accessibility, where workers feel like they can talk to people at the top of the food chain, and conversation and communication goes both ways. And I think it's that feeling that employees don't want to be siloed in whatever division, department, their own specific cubicle, whatever. They want to be part of something bigger. And you mentioned here that several of these companies, Access, I think, is one of these ones that does one-on-one meetings with management. And Plant Moran, that's where CIO Paul Blowers is doing his Paulway Talks. Is that what it is?
Yes. Yeah. He's famous for just making himself accessible, and he really likes to talk one-on-one with employees. So you might just get snagged in the hallway for a Paulway conversation. It's just an impromptu conversation with the staffers and just to see what's going on and if they have any questions and just what's on their mind.
Yeah, it's as simple as just having the communication go both ways. Some of the other perks that we're finding is this the ability for IT workers to try new ideas and to sort of get their hands around some cutting edge technologies, right?
Absolutely. And of course, if you work for a research organization, that's obvious that's going to happen. For instance, a long-time organization that makes our list year after year is the Jet Propulsion Laboratory, where tech workers are supporting space missions. But they also work on a lot of other projects. They're partnering with startups and industry giants, road testing new technologies. Some of the technologies they're working with these partnerships are AI and deep learning, natural language processing, chatbots, augmented reality, cybersecurity, mobile Internet of Things, advanced cloud computing. I mean, it just goes on. Analytics, SDN. They just get to try out all kinds of different things all the time, and that seems like a really ideal situation for a tech pro who wants to keep learning new things and expanding skills, and it's absolutely a favorite. And that's the employees who work there. They just rave about all the technologies they get to touch.
Well, that's exactly, and I think that's, as you mentioned, that's why JPL tends to show up a lot or frequently on the list. And it's the larger idea that employees are going to be curious and want to learn more about areas not necessarily that they're working in right now. It allows an employee to feel that they are advancing, even if depending on the where they are in their career track, they may not be changing jobs, but they're learning more and they're setting themselves up for a better future professionally. And
yep.
that's what these companies are doing. Routinely. Quicken Loans here, we have them where employees can block out a X amount of hours each week and work on personal tech projects. And some of those projects then can be turned around and turned into internal tools for the company, and maybe even used for customer-facing solutions. And it's a way of taking the natural creativity and curiosity that employees have and turning it into something that might even be useful for the company. I mean, it's good for the company to have engaged, highly motivated employees too.
Absolutely, yeah, and so Quicken Loans has formalized this into their weekly chunk of time that you get to work on your personal project. But a lot of the companies on our list, organizations, I should say, it's more than just companies, offer events, hackathons, and other types of internal competitions where people present their ideas, and they'll lead TED Talk style presentations where they're presenting their ideas. So, and that is again something that these employees just really get engaged with and absolutely love to do. And if it turns into something that the company can use, either an internal tool or something that works into an external product, all the better.
Right. And then finally, sort of in the 30,000-foot view here, one of the areas that we see repeated across a lot of organizations is this, and it seems to be growing, this commitment to community responsibility, doing things, giving back to the community. And there are several, a number of companies that have found ways to carve out some time so that employees can give back, and it seems to be something that is, the employees really like it, and it helps them, keep those people, I guess, working with them.
Yeah, that's absolutely true, and that's something. Again, in the employee comments, they really value working for an organization that they believe is doing good in the world, and so. A lot of these organizations, they'll match employee charitable contributions, they'll sponsor group volunteer outings, they'll encourage employees to use paid time off to give back to the community. One of the standouts in that I noticed was VMware, which allows employees to use up to 40 paid hours per year to volunteer with local nonprofits, which is really a standout. Just to really encourage people to give back in that way. And so there's also internal programs as well. The National Information Solutions Cooperative has a fund that's earmarked for employees in times of need, such as after a house fire or when a spouse loses a job, those types of situations. And employees can contribute any dollar amount, and the company matches those contributions. And then they have an internal committee that decides if an employee needs that kind of financial help. And again, that's just something that the employees really value, being given that opportunity to help each other out as well as the community at large.
Right. And I think one of the things that maybe people don't understand is that unlike sort of the fixed cost benefits that you have with salaries and healthcare, a lot of the smaller sort of perks that these companies are able to provide really are not, they don't cost that much money, comparatively speaking. I mean, you can go a long way to keeping employees engaged by fostering this sense of community. I guess there were companies that do things like, I guess they have movie nights. If you want to go, to see Star Wars, then they'll make sure everybody has a ticket to do that. And again, it's that sense that a company is doing something to help the employees bond with each other. It's something simple, and I mean, it may cost a little bit of money to go see the movie, but it's not as big as trying to find a new employee when somebody's walked out the door. And it's just surprising that a lot of the things the companies are doing are not outrageously expensive.
Exactly, reward and recognition programs. Free food. I mean, just having
who doesn't like free food?
Exactly. And even that, once a week in the kitchen, the employees gather and chat while they're having their sweets. So, it's just really a great way to foster that community, and it does not have to break the bank.
Right. Okay. Any other thoughts? Any other lessons we can glean from this year's results that companies that might be wanting to get on next year's list should pay attention to, or is it the sort of thing where companies are going to experiment and we'll see next year what the employees themselves are telling us stand out?
Yeah, more the latter. I would just suffice it to say that's really, each one of the organizations that makes the list has its own unique combination of culture, projects, policies, and perks that make it a great place to work in IT. And each company has to find its own combination of those factors and get out there and experiment and try for the list next year.
Yep. Great advice. Okay, Val, really, I appreciate you taking the time to give me the overview here and give people an idea for what it is that these companies are doing right. So thanks so much for your time and for the info.
My pleasure.
For now, that's a wrap.